back row, all good. Good morning. Thank everybody for coming out. Without further ado, I will introduce the Honorable Stephen L. Reed to get us started. Thank y'all for coming.
Thank you. Good morning. It's good to be with everyone. We wanted to come talk to the community with a public safety briefing. We're grateful for our city councilman, Councilor Zemansky, being here, as well as Councilor Beard being here with us as well, and all the members of our city council about things that have been happening in this community. We know there's been a community effort under Interim Chief Grayboys that has allowed some positive trends to be seen here over the last couple of months. We want to thank our partners, the Montgomery County Sheriff's Office, as well as the Alabama Law Enforcement Agency, our federal partners as well, and certainly all of our partners in the community who have been assisting us, everyday neighbors, community groups, faith groups, everyone that's been helping. And certainly we want to thank the men and women of the Montgomery Police Department who've been doing just an outstanding job here in a lot of the work that we've been seeing over the last several weeks. We have seen some positive trends again as it relates to traffic, as it relates to traffic enforcement, as it relates to some of the trend lines along non-fatal shootings. And until recently, obviously these last several days, even as it relates to homicides being down year over year. The last several days have been, again, a startling reminder there are so many things that happen in the community. With the best effort, you just don't know what's going to happen day to day when it comes to conflict resolution and de-escalation situations. But we have to continue to focus on that because that is human interaction, it's emotion, sometimes it's bravado, and sometimes it's other things. But we've got to figure out a way to still focus on de-escalation as well as conflict resolution when it comes to how people deal with one another when there are disagreements. So we'll talk about that, and Chief Grayboys will address some of the more recent issues that we've had. But we also want to encourage our property owners, our business owners, to stay vigilant as well. We've seen some downward trends in terms of business robberies year over year, quarter over quarter that I think are positive, but we're not comfortable, we're not relaxing. Just a way for us working with our Star Watch system, working with our small businesses, and making sure that people are being aware of their surroundings, that we've seen some positive things happen. But they haven't just happened, from the standpoint of happenstance. There's been a lot of gumshoe police work being done to break up some of the robbery rings. We know there's still a few more out there that Chief will touch on. But again, we believe that some key arrests have been made in that regard. Finally, then I'll turn it over to Chief Grayboys. We want to encourage people to lock your cars. We know that there's still some car break-ins that are happening all too frequently. And often these are people who are looking for guns. They're looking to take your phones out of your cars and your wallets and your purses. So we want to encourage people to lock those cars each and every time you get out, even if you're just going in to get a quick errand or anything along those lines. That's very, very important for us. One last thing I want to mention, we'll be bringing back an initiative with the City Council about exhibition driving. That's something that we have discussed earlier this year. We have not acted on that. So I do want the community to know that we're hearing the feedback about the speeding, about the muscle cars and everything else. And I think we've got some stronger ideas for how to initiate an ordinance where that's concerned that gives us a little bit more teeth than what we have right now. So we want to make sure, again, traffic safety is just as much a part of the overall safety that we'll be focusing on here through the remainder of 2024. I want to thank Pastor Nellos. I want to thank you for your leadership. Thank you for what you do and have been doing for so many years in the community. We're ties with the Office of Violence Prevention. Thank you as well as Eddie Compton senior policy advisor who will be was already helping us with our community violence intervention efforts and bringing that down to closure here very soon. So that's just a little bit of an overview. I'll turn it over to Chief Grayboys right now for some other thoughts and details overall on what we've been seeing in some of the reports he's given me, but certainly, obviously, what's taking place here within the last 5 to 7 days, and some other initiatives that the Montgomery Police Department is employing. But to reemphasize our support and reemphasize our thanks to all the men and women of our Montgomery Police Department, we say thank you, as well as all of our law enforcement partners around the city and the region for helping make Montgomery and helping make Central Alabama safer and helping us find the bad guys and getting them off the streets and putting them where they belong. That's it, Chief. I'll turn it over to you at this time.
Thank you, sir. Good morning. In the last 5 to 7 days, we have had some issues that we've been dealing with, as the mayor has alluded to. We've had, of course, as you are aware, the 3 homicides and multiple shootings that we've been working on. Now, one thing I want to make perfectly clear in relation to this. We are working literally night and day, 24/7, to solve these cases, and I'm confident we are going to be solving them based on the information that has been passed on to me. That being said, in regards to this, in regards to our ideas for the future, and in relation to these cases, we are reaching out to some of our federal partners to have them assist us in our efforts, because one of the things that we have noticed, of course, when we are dealing with these offenses is the presence of firearms and switches in relation to these types of offenses. So my message to the people engaging in these firearms crimes is we are going to get you. We are going to be coming for you. Stop what you're doing, because all you do is break people's hearts and you harm them in their lives. So make no mistake about this. We are going to make every effort to work these cases and prosecute the people involved. Because one of the things that we have noticed about these cases is that they are dealing with people who know each other, dealing with people who are having situations, maybe you could call it beefs or arguments with each other. These are not random. They might be separate incidents from each other, but they are incidents where we are going to be going after the folks involved that we need to be going after, and we're going to be prosecuting them. Now, the news overall for the last few months has been more positive than negative. As the mayor said, our homicide numbers are down. Our clearance rate on those homicides has been increasing. We are at 67% on our clearances, and the ones that we might not have listed as solved yet are going to be solved because we have good cases in relation to a lot of them, but we can't release that information until we complete those investigations. So we're very confident and we're bullish that we are going in the right direction. Our recruiting numbers have been moving up. In fact, this November, we're expecting to start with one of our largest police academy classes going forward that we've had in quite some time. So the thing about it is that what we're doing is we are making constant efforts, both dealing with the safety of things that are happening on the street and in dealing with things to move our agency forward. So that being said, I want you all to understand that we are going to keep making these efforts, and we are never going to let up on any of them, whether it's prosecuting criminals or moving the police department and the city forward to make it safer. Should I open up for questions? That's pretty much what I have for my statement right now, but do y'all have any questions? Yes, ma'am. Yeah, I'll be happy to. The MAX unit, as you know, is a combination of the Montgomery Police Department, Alabama Law Enforcement Agency, Attorney General's Office, and the Montgomery County Sheriff's Office. And one of the key things about it is the way we cooperate with each other. We started working investigations on those switches pretty much as soon as we started coming across them and tracking the sources. So when, of course, the ALEA made their release, as you're talking about, that was part of an ongoing case. I mean, basically, those aren't the only switches either. There have been multiple switches actually seized over the lifespan, you could say, of the MAX unit, because we've been encountering them pretty frequently. So, of course, we have been working with partners to locate and find the sources of these switches so we can start going after the people producing them and making them. Now, obviously, I can't say too much more other than that because I don't want to do anything that would compromise mission integrity, but I can tell you we are going after those switches, and when people are arrested with switches, they're not just looking at any possible local charges, they're looking at federal charges. And they need to understand how seriously we're taking it. Those switches are dangerous. Those switches harm people. They cause indiscriminate injuries to people. Anybody using those types of weapons are a danger to themselves and others.
When you take those devices off the street, do they help you solve crimes but also prevent crimes as well?
Well, yeah, anytime you take a gun off the street, especially a switch, you are preventing crimes because when you take a gun off of the street, that gun can't be utilized to commit a robbery or it can't be utilized to commit a homicide. It can't be utilized to injure anyone. So anytime we can take guns off the streets, we want to do that. One of the problems that's going on, and we've mentioned this before, and I will mention it right now. I think the way things are going with our gun laws are crazy. You know, when somebody can just walk down the street carrying an AR and not be considered to be breaking the law, I mean, if somebody's walking through your neighborhood at 2 a.m. and they're carrying an AR, or they're walking right across your campus and they're carrying an AR, how are you going to feel as a community member when you see that? So the thing about it is we're going to do everything we can to make people safe. And we're going to do everything we legally can to take guns off the streets. And we're going to do everything we legally can to charge people who misuse those guns. And that's not going to stop. Any other questions?
Also in that press release, they talked about the flying wheel detail, issuing traffic citations. How important is that to keeping the city safe? There's so much focus on shootings and drugs and robberies, but how important is that traffic detail as well?
Well, traffic details are incredibly important because the thing about it is that when you look at a motor vehicle, you're talking about something that could be 3,000 pounds plus up, driving at 70 miles an hour. If it's mishandled, you can create amazing or terrible injuries to other people around you or yourself if you crash that car or you're speeding or you're driving in a reckless manner. Any kind of traffic detail also leads to other things. There have been many a times when you cleared a felony case by making a traffic stop and then you found inside the car, let's say, some type of narcotics, or you found somebody who was a wanted felon driving it. So traffic details are incredibly important and they help us out a great deal.
You mentioned that homicides and other crimes are down, but there are people who say you're simply just not reporting all those crimes. Would you like to address those accusations?
We are reporting the crimes. I can confirm that the time I've been here, we've been reporting the crimes.
Yeah, let me add something to that. I mean, look, you know, it's nonsensical to chase every story, rumor that someone wants to put out because they've got a political agenda. There's no way that this law enforcement agency could remain accredited, that we would be not in violation of ethical and legal statutes if we were not reporting the numbers. You know, the most important thing for us is to analyze the data, good, bad, and different. I'm agnostic about it. I just want to know what it is. And Chief is the same way. Where is it happening? When is it happening? Why is it happening? How is it happening? And then what can we do to solve it? That makes the work that our men and women in law enforcement a lot easier. Community partners who are out there every day putting themselves out there in harm's way makes what they do easier. We can tell them, you know, what we know happens. And one of the reasons why we have a 67% clearance rate is because we have great community partnerships. We have people that come forward that talk to us. There are a lot of cities that do not have anywhere near, they have half of that clearance rate when it comes to homicides. So for us, we know that trust is important. There's nothing we're going to do to damage that trust. We would like for all these numbers to be zero, everybody, but we're not going to, in any way, shape, form, or fashion, you know, try to manufacture that. We're going to look at what it is because that's the only way for us to solve the issue and for us to get better at it is to try to understand the data and try to use that data to inform better decision making, whether it's staffing, whether it's certain details that we have, or various partners that we bring in throughout the community. So the data informs us, and we want to inform those who we're obligated, legally obligated as a city, to do that, because that part is so important for us. It's just to know how these things are happening, and then we want to let property owners know. We want to let our neighborhood associations know. We want to let our small business groups know, and then they're able to kind of give us feedback as well. So we rely on that, and we rely on the trust and integrity of the information they give us, and they rely on the same thing that we give them. So it is very important that we maintain that. And you're always going to have people, one way or the other. It's not just with crime. It's anything that have suspicions or conspiracy theories. We don't spend our time chasing those, those things that are being said, whether it's social media or anything else. We have to focus on what we know is happening and utilize the tools that we have in order to bring about a safer community. I will take that chance, since I'm here at the microphone, just very quickly. I'm going to ask Chief maybe to address this. We're having a youth-focused town hall tonight, and one of the things that I do think is important that we can continue to look at from our community perspective is how do we get to some of our young people earlier? How do we make sure that whether it's via social media, whether it's through traditional avenues, that we provide them with opportunities that where they understand not only conflict resolution and de-escalation training, but they also understand the avenues and venues that they have to make the best decisions going forward. We are proud of the work we're doing with our school system. I met with the interim superintendent about continuing that work, but we also have to reach those who are not in the schools, and a lot of them are not. And when we look at the homicide numbers, 19 of those, I think it's 51.
19 out of the
51 are under 25 years old. So we have to look at, again, where are we losing some of our young people, and why does that seem to be kind of a high area of victims when it comes to homicide? The second thing is we're seeing too many young teens that are involved in crimes. And I think this is important because we know that there are adults who are encouraging them and encouraging this behavior because they don't feel that the juvenile system is strong enough and is strengthened to hold them accountable. Chief and I have had a lot of conversations about that, and I'll ask him to touch on that in just a second. But we got to make sure that those adults who are offering money for guns that are stolen out of cars, those adults who are pushing these 13, 14, and 15, and 16-year-olds out there because of the belief that they will not stay in jail, that they understand what their accountability is in these crimes as well. And we're going to hold the young teens accountable, but we're going to hold the adults accountable too. And that may include family members. That may include those who know or those who are, again, pushing this type of behavior. Because if the thought is, well, we're going to use a young teen in particular to go out here because they're going to get in and out of juvenile and they are not going to be held to the same sentencing standards as the adult, then we're going to make sure that adult who's involved in this is also charged. And so we look forward to having those conversations with the new district attorney for Montgomery County, we've not had a chance to sit down with yet. But we want to make sure that people understand every facet of crime that's happening in this city, we're analyzing through the lens of data, and that is informing our decisions, both in terms of policies, things that we introduce to the city council, things that they introduce to us as practices, but also things that we hear from our community leaders as well. So that's very, very important that we understand those two areas in particular. Chief, I'll ask you to kind of expound on a couple of those topics around juveniles and some of the things that we've seen in the data and some of the thoughts you've had on the juvenile system and what we need to do to kind of improve that.
Yes, sir. When you're dealing with these juveniles, one thing to be aware of, especially when you're talking about violent crime, there are 16-year-olds who are being charged as adults. Nobody is immune when they are committing these types of crimes, especially when you're dealing with some of these homicides and some of these serious felonies. Now, as the mayor was stating, anybody who pushes a juvenile into committing crimes is themselves vulnerable to being charged, and we will be looking for you as well to do what we need to charge any individual who would try pushing juveniles into committing these crimes or encouraging them in that, because they are contributing to those crimes and they are contributing to that bad behavior. Now, the DA's office, when you talk about the DAs and you talk about the court systems, they are getting stricter and they are going to be moving forward on a lot of things, it appears. So the thing about it is that that's really what we're talking about with a stick. There's also a carrot involved with some of this, and what I mean by a carrot is when we're talking about the violence reduction strategies that we want to talk about, and we're talking about the conflict resolutions, the idea is to try to get to these kids and get to these people before they do some of those things. Okay, so you really got a two-pronged approach. One prong is you are enforcing the law and you are prosecuting anybody who's involved in doing those crimes. But then the other prong is utilizing every community resource you have, such as the Office of Violence Prevention, such as even like partners maybe like the Red Cross or the Housing Authority or some of these other agencies that are working with us to start working to give kids options, to give juveniles other ideas and other things that they can do. One thing when you're talking about the Office of Violence Prevention, as I mentioned here, and something I've talked with the mayor extensively about, was my trip to Baltimore, where I learned a lot about group violence reduction strategies. And the reason I'm talking about that is because those strategies, which go in conjunction with our law enforcement efforts, actually help reduce violence, because they actually give younger people alternatives to going out and maybe resolving things with a gun. They give people other ideas. You don't lessen your enforcement at all. You are just now, instead of just approaching it by trying to arrest your way out of the problem, you're approaching it by, yes, you're arresting the bad guys, and two, you're offering other options to individuals to help them change their behaviors. And when you do that in conjunction, you have some really good results. So the thing is that we are literally pushing forward on a lot of these strategies, and right now, of course, they might be in their baby steps, but we're pretty excited about them. So the juvenile crimes and the young people who are committing these crimes, they've got two things going on there. They've got basically, unfortunately, they have easy access to weapons, and they need to turn and learn conflict resolution. They need to learn those strategies that make them not so quick to pick up those weapons, because you want them to be able to understand the consequences of their actions. Now, I will say this, though. We will enforce the law. We will arrest people who commit the crimes, and we will prosecute them. At the same time, though, I am really excited about the idea of being able to do some preventative measures to hopefully prevent people from getting to that point. So that's the way we're moving forward, sir.
One last point from me, and if you certainly there are any questions left from myself or Chief Graves, we'll take those, is the investment in technology. We're going to continue to use technology as a force multiplier. We've been proud to talk with several groups that are working in some of the largest cities through best-in-class technology. That's through drone usage. That's through the use of cameras throughout cities and communities. And that's also making sure that that is not just for reactive uses, but also proactive uses of technology. So that's something that you'll be hearing us talk a lot about in the upcoming weeks and months ahead. We believe that technology can help us be a safer city. We want to, again, encourage as many of our residents and business owners to become part of our Star-wide system. It gives us eyes and ears in many more places than what we have, and you'd be surprised what we're able to pick up from that. And I'm still talking to so many business owners and residents here who don't know what that is. So we got some work to do as it relates to marketing the Star-wide system, because we do believe that can assist us as well, regardless of the neighborhood that someone may live in. But Chief Great Wars and I have talked extensively about improving and increasing the amount of cameras around the city and increasing the amount of technology that is used. And we will do that as we continue to ramp up our manpower through recruitment and through the new budget that the council passed is implemented, $55,000 a year starting salary for anyone who's counting. Recruit, you start up now at Montgomery Police Department. Just go to montgomerypolicedepartment.org.gov, and you'll get that. But even as we ramp up the manpower, technology is here, and we're going to continue to use that, and we're going to continue to invest in it. So we want to make sure that those who are not a part of our Star Watch system reach out to our police department to find out how to connect your cameras and to connect your technology. Those with Ring doorbells and others can do the same, can reach out to us, because we really want to make sure that we are leveraging all the tools in our toolbox to make this city safer. And we know that, with the last few weeks and months that we've had some positive trends, we've got to continue to be vigilant in this community. Again, we're not getting complacent. We're not getting comfortable. We wanted to make sure that we're able to talk about some things that we've seen positively throughout the teamwork and the collaboration of law enforcement organizations as well as community members here. And we wanted to make sure that certainly those that have been impacted by crime, who've been impacted by violent crime, property crime, or any other type of issue, to know that that's top of mind for myself, for Chief Graybois each and every day, is to figure out where the bad guys are, how we can disrupt their patterns, how we can affect the things that they're doing in a way to bring them to justice. And we will continue to do just that until this city is as safe as it can be. So we'll continue to ask for your cooperation, your help, and we're grateful for what the community has done as it relates to the feedback to help us achieve that 67% clearance rate, far higher than the national average. That would not be possible without those in the community assisting us and so many organizations. But we're going to continue to make the bad guys feel uncomfortable, and we're going to continue to look for those who we have not charged in some of these violent crimes and other crimes to hold them accountable and bring them to justice. And anybody who has any information to share should reach out and call us and let us know how we can do that. And we would appreciate each and every tip in these cases that we can. Yes.
Mayor, can you provide an update on the search for permanent police chief?
Well, I have not interviewed any candidates yet at this time, but the list has been cut. So we have reduced the amount of applicants from the original, I think it was over 40 some odd applicants. It's been cut significantly, and then we will get to our committee, which will help us interview those that we deem to be more of a finalist before we get down to about the final 3 or so. But we have made progress there, and we have a very aggressive timeline to kind of make this next round of cuts in terms of those who applied. I'd like to have a new chief name yesterday, but it's a process. We want to go through the process, the right way. We know it's an important hire, the most important hire, not only for this administration, but for the community. And so that means making sure that they are part of the conversation and making sure they're part of the evaluation where that's concerned. But we're going to go about this as efficiently as we can, but we want to make sure that we don't make just a fast choice, but we make the right choice. Okay. Well, listen, thank you all so much. Thank you all for what you do in the press. If we can be helpful in any way, don't hesitate to let us know. Thanks again for coming out. All right.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks, Chief. Thank you.